right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today we're doing a real clean review. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today, for real, I'm driving a 1994 Mazda 323. Up front is a 1.6 liter inline four, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Mazda 323 because if you know anything about my channel, you know that I'm a big Mazda fan, and I haven't driven an American market 323 before. I've actually driven a 323F that came from Germany. However, that is a very, very different car than this. Honestly, they shouldn't even share a name. And so today we are taking a look at the Mazda 323 sold in the United States back in 1994. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that peachy little 1.6 liter under the hood. Well, you might be thinking, Zach, that's a Miata motor, and you wouldn't be completely wrong, but you're also not right. The Miata did get a 1.6 liter, but that was a dual overhead cam engine and made about 115 horsepower. This makes a whopping 82 horsepower and is a single overhead cam engine. It's kind of the dog of the 1.6 liter family. It's not as revvy, it's not as fun, it's actually not as reliable as the dual overhead cam system that they used in the Mazda Miata. However, it is still enjoyable, it's fun enough to drive, and for a little economy car, it's decently buzzy. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission, and I think this is the Achilles heel of this car just a little bit, just given the fact that a manual would have been a lot more fun. Given the drivetrain, given the power to weight, I could feel like this car really wants to carve up a canyon, but this auto tragic seems to be holding it back quite a bit. That being said, it's not a bad transmission, it's shifting gears, and coming up on 30 years later, I'll take that. Last but not least about the drivetrain, of course, this is front-wheel drive. However, they did make the 323 GTX, which I would love to drive. That was an all-wheel drive turbo Mazda 323. So very, very special, but this is not it. So how does it feel to drive the Mazda 323? Well, it's actually pretty enjoyable for an economy car. If you've driven a Honda Civic of this era, you know how this car drives. It's decently predictable, it's light on its feet, and the engine is real buzzy. Are you gonna go anywhere quick? No, not really, but on a curvy road, who cares? As long as that curvy road isn't uphill, you're gonna have a lot of fun. And it was still an economy car. Small engine, sipped on gas, easy to repair at the time. So it's actually quite a lovely driving experience. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a couple of gauges. Off to the left is my speedometer, and off to the right is my fuel and coolant temperature, no tachometer, and I do get a slew of warning lights found here as well. But that's it. Clean, simple, basic, easy to read. The steering wheel has been swapped out for an aftermarket unit, so this is not the original steering wheel, although I do quite like it. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent and the gauge dimmer switch, along with a couple of dead switches. You're gonna see that a lot because this is the absolute base model of the 323, just a heads up. And moving out of the door, we have manual mirrors and manual windows. Again, base. Moving into the center, we have more climate control vents. We do have a button for our AC. Love that, and we do have a rear defrost. However, our hazard switch is up above where our clock would go, but Budget Rent-A-Car didn't want to give you a clock, so they didn't option one. This car originally was purchased by Budget Rent-A-Car and was rented out to, well, whoever. And so, when they selected the options, they didn't select the clock. We do have air conditioning, however, so they must have checked that box. And the heat works incredibly well. It's about 50 or 60 degrees today, and it is burning me out of the car. I had to turn it down and crank open a window just to stop from having heat stroke. Really, really impressive heater core in this little Mazda 323. Then I do have the factory Mazda radio with cassette player and bass and treble, and very odd what options they decided to give this thing and what they didn't, but here it is. Here's the original Mazda radio, and I love that it has that. Then we do get an ashtray and cigarette lighter / 12-volt outlet, and an opening cubby that does have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and these cup holders are a joke. They will not support dang near anything, and so right off the bat, the 323 fails the big friggin' bottle test. I didn't think it would pass, but this is just insane. Then we move down to the shifter, very standard shifter for any kind of car that you would see in this era, like the Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic. They all have this sort of tall, big, chunky push-button shifter, and you would almost assume that they all came out of the same factory, but they did not. Then we have the handbrake and a little cubby, I guess. The seats are decently comfortable. They are cloth. They're not super padded. They're not massaging me or anything like that, obviously. They work. They do the job. They do the thing, and that's all I can really ask. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Mazda 323, and although it's ungraceful to actually get into, the space back here is really, really nice. Again, much like the GTI or Polo that I drove, the Yugo, it's a lot bigger in the back, which was sort of this era of car. I don't really get any amenities back here. I do get an ashtray, thank God. But other than that, nothing really crazy going on. The trunk is a similar situation as well. It is a hatchback, which I love. I love hatchbacks. And it does have a decent amount of space. You're not going to really be able to fit a couch in here, but it's okay nevertheless. Now we got to talk about the looks. And obviously, this 323 has been through some stuff. It has seen a thing or two. It's been around the block. However, I love the rear end design of the 323. I think it actually looks pretty interesting and definitely sets itself apart from its competition in that era. The front, I could take or leave. I think it looks a lot like the other cars of that era, but the back really feels special, and that's always fun and unique to feel. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 1994 Mazda 323? Well, I have to say I was so excited to do this review, obviously because I love Mazda so much, and I personally own a Mazda 3, and this is its car's ancestor. Without this car, we wouldn't have my wonderful, beautiful 2019 Mazda 3 that I love with my whole heart. And so it's always good to respect your elders and understand where cars came from in their lineage. Helps give good perspective on the car today. My Mazda 3 is a lot quieter on the road than this. And I own a base model. My 2019 is a base model. So part for part, these are pretty much the same, and my new car is quieter, it's more powerful, it's more precise, and so it does give me an appreciation for new Mazda to be driving one of these older ones. But the other thing is that I honestly don't see much of a difference between this car and the Honda Civic of the era. Now, of course, we're not comparing the Civic Si or Type R or anything like that, but just part for part, base for base, I can't really see much appeal to a Civic above this besides parts availability. The 323 was way more rare and way less purchased than the Honda Civic, and so you're going to have a lot less parts availability. You're going to have a lot less community around it. You're going to have a lot less options for retrofitting and producing new parts. I don't think any company right now is currently producing brand new parts for the 323, but you can buy brand new parts for an old Civic all day long. But that's not to say that this car is bad. And the owner, Zack, not me, Zack with an H, he's owned this car for a very long time, and he really just can't justify getting rid of it. Anytime a buddy needs to borrow a car, someone's visiting in town, hey, take the 323. His car's been banged all around New York City, as you could tell, and it's fine. It still operates, it's wonderful, it's pleasurable, and it just doesn't seem to quit. It even tried to light itself on fire a year or so ago, and it put itself out, actually, and it was just a horn that was malfunctioning and overheating. It was fine. This car has literally lived through the fire and the flames. All right, I'm getting carried away, but I really, really do enjoy this little car, and it's been fun to drive. If you want a little Canyon Carver, try to find one of these in manual. Chuck it around. Don't care about it. That's the glory of the Mazda 323. I'm very appreciative of where Mazda was and where Mazda is today. All thank you to this little car. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Zack with an H for letting me take out his Mazda 323. Such a lovely guy to work with. He's been absolutely awesome. He's great, and I was so thankful we were able to add this review on during my time here in New York, because what a treat this has been. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.